Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. So today we're going to talk about dinosaur bone crafting from Isle of Dread. We're going to go through an example of crafting a dinosaur bone item, and then after that, we will go through the reslotting of a sentient gem. So if you've never done this, I'll show you how to do all this. So the process of both crafting a dinosaur bone weapon, taking your sentient gem and filigree out of your old weapon and putting it all on your new one. So let's go ahead and get started. So it's just some basics if you're not familiar with how the dinosaur bone crafting works in Isle of Dread. Basically, there are several different kinds of ingredients, 6 different ingredients. 4 of them drop in quest chests. 1 of them drops saga reward or in wilderness chests, and the other one drops in purple named rare chests and the raid also. So you have to gather these ingredients, and then when you get enough ingredients, you can go to this dinosaur bone crafting vendor, this tabaxi vendor in the public area, and buy augments that you slot into it. So this system is very similar to legendary green seal, except much simplified in terms of the way it works. But essentially, you pick your dinosaur augments and you slot them into weapon that you want. And there are specific, as we'll go through here in a second, I'll show you. There are specific augments for specific slots. And then there are also certain augments that can only go into, say, a weapon or a item. So there are accessory augments, and then there's weapon items. So first of all, let's talk about the blanks. So there's a lot of blanks. You can buy blanks from this vendor here, or you can find them in the chests in Isle of Dread. There are also blanks that are called attuned blanks that you can only get from the raid. So that's either getting them from the raid chest or turning them in for runes, which is what we're going to do right now. So what we're going to be crafting today is an attuned maul. So, and I'll show you also, I have a regular maul blank right here, and I'm going to show you the difference between the attuned mauls from the raid and the regular mauls, or just the regular weapons versus the attuned weapons. So let's go ahead and turn in our runes. So we're going to craft an attuned maul. So I have run the raid enough to get enough ingredients, which is 1,250 runes. So here we go. So we're going to get this attuned bone maul. Let's go ahead and craft that. There we go. So we got our maul. Go ahead, and we don't need these runes. We'll put them in this tab for now. So let's go ahead and get our maul. So here's our attuned maul. And let's compare this really quick so I can show you the difference between the attuned maul and our regular maul. So you can see right here on the right hand side. Well, actually, I better not have it equipped because it'll show things affecting it. But basically, the difference is, look at the damage profile here. So on the attuned maul, this is the raid maul, the damage profile is 5, 1d10 plus 6. Whereas on the regular maul, the damage profile is 5, 1d10 plus 4. So there's a 2 damage difference there. So the raid mauls have a little bit better damage profile. Also, the other difference between the raid weapons and the regular blanks is that the raid weapons have the count as part of the 5-piece set, Legendary Dread Isles Curse set, which is the 5-piece set from Isle of Dread. So that's the basic difference. Okay, so now we've got our maul, and I'm going to put this regular maul away at a different tab so I don't get confused and accidentally craft onto that. Now what we've got to do is we've got to buy our augments. So augments, pretty much you're going to buy all of them from this crafter. I believe they can drop. There are certain augments that are supposed to drop in the raid, although I've never seen one, and I think there's even a set bonus augment that drops in the I think wilderness chest in Isle of Dread. I'm not 100% sure on that because I haven't seen it drop. I haven't seen any of that drop. So far, the only augments I've seen has been from this vendor, but hey, who knows? Maybe with the raid, maybe that second chest we haven't figured out yet. Maybe that one is going to drop some raid items, augments, specific augments. I don't know. But for now, you're going to be buying your augments from this crafter. So I've already, piece of paper here to my left, I already have written down the augments that I want to put into this maul. So let's go ahead and do that. So into this maul, we're going to put, let's see, there are 4. Oh yeah, actually, let's go back to here. So there are 4 specific slots. So as you can see on the weapon here, there's a scale slot, a fang slot, a claw slot, and a horn slot. So in the scale slot, you can only put in scale augments. So like, for example, this flame scale here, this, as it notes on the screen here, item augment type Isle of Dread scale weapon. So this is this augment in particular, this flame scale, this isn't what we're going to craft, but this flame scale can only go into the scale slot on a weapon. Now, there are other augments that are only accessory, and it will note it on the augment. So you have to make sure that you're not, say, getting a claw augment that's an accessory type. So let's see if we can find one really quick here. Okay, well, this is not scale, this is Fang, a different slot, but you can see here it's noted as accessory. So when you go and buy these things, make sure you buy the ones that are specific for Fang, and it's very helpful to just go and pick out the ones you want from the DDO wiki page. I'll link it down below. There's a pretty nice, very simple page on the DDO wiki on dinosaur bone crafting. So it's better to just go there and pick out what you want. But for our first slot, again, we've got a scale slot, a fang slot, a claw slot, and a horn slot. So for our scale slot, we are going to get melt scale. So let's just type it in here. Melt scale. So this is going to give us crystal by chic material type. So crystal's material type's really nice. It'll make us so our weapon doesn't break on oozes. And then we've got 15d6 acid damage. So we're going to go and craft one of these. And also a lot of these, especially these first few slots, are very, very cheap. So it's only 25 ingredients of each of the four types. I believe it's claw, horn, vertebrae, and ribs. So this one's easy to craft. A lot of these are, it's not a big deal if you say want to change it later, because the ingredient costs for the most part are pretty low. There's also a way to remove them, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But let's go ahead and craft this melt scale. So let's go ahead and craft that. All right, so here we go. So here's our augment. There's our melt scale augment. Put that here for now. Put this out of the way here. Okay. So now we want to buy our fang slot, which we're going to buy melt fang. Clear this. So melt fang, this is going to give us evil alignment bypass, and our attacks will deal a large amount of stacking acid damage over time. We're going to craft one of these. So let's go melt fang. This will go in our fang slot. Let's put this here. So we've got this all. I also disabled my auto gather in my bag, so it's not gathering this stuff. Here we go. We got our fang slot and our scale slot. So let's see. Next, we're going to go for our claw slot. Go ahead and craft ice claw. So in the claw set on weapons, you get to pick between a spell power type or a stat bonus type exceptional. So we're going to go with +2 exceptional wisdom on this cleric. Let's go ahead and craft that. So here the costs are getting a little higher. So 100 Tyrannosaurus teeth for this one. Tyrannosaurus teeth only drop in the wilderness chest and on the saga and reward list. By the way, also these crafting, I'm not totally sure if this is like the most optimal thing to put on a melee weapon. I'm doing a little bit of experimenting, but I have asked around with some other players, and I think some of these are pretty good choices. Especially the next one here is supposed to be pretty good for CC. So for our last slot, our horn slot, we're going to go with Ice Horn. There's also a really nice ability that you can get on this slot that's similar to Legendary Affirmation, where you can get 1,000 temporary HP, but I don't really need that. I'd rather have the CC, so we're going to go with Ice Horn, which is similar to, as far as I know, is very similar to the Snow Peaks augment, where it will freeze enemies in a block of ice, except the DC, apparently, according to what other players have told me, so I can't confirm this, but the DC should be much, much higher. I think it's around 100 or so, according to the DDO.com forums. So I'm not 100% sure if that's correct. But okay, so for this one also, 50 black pearls, which are only available in the raid and the purple names, but still it's pretty lenient on the ingredient costs here. So we're going to craft this ice horn. Let's do that. Okay, so we got all of our augments here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put all this stuff on our weapon. So what we're going to do in order to craft it on the mall, you're just going to get your weapon, or if you're crafting an accessory, you'll get an accessory, but you'll just put it over to this little green block here. You'll just drag it over here and open up this crafting window. This is, again, very similar to Legendary Green Steel. So this weapon has 6 slots, so 4 for the Isle Dread specific augments and 2 for an orange and a purple, which we'll also put in there. Second. So then you just slide them in. So let's go ahead and get our ice. I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll just do them in order that we crafted them. So our melt scale, I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. And it will ask me to permanently bind. Yes. There we go. Melt Fang. Put that here. Got our Ice Horn. We're going to put, actually, let's do our Ice Claw first. Ice Claw and Ice Horn finally. Okay. All right, so that's everything. So now we've got 2 other regular augment slots. I'm going to go ahead and use a couple augments I had lying around. I may switch these later on, but for now I'm going to put a Meridian Fragment on here, which is pretty nice. When you get hit, it gives you bonuses to spell power, so as a melee healer, that's pretty nice. So we'll go ahead. This comes from the Thunder Peak, Fire and Thunder Peak raid. So we'll put that in our orange slot. Okay, so for the purple slot, I'm going to put this blue augment in it. This is one of the augments from Isle of Dread, Legendary Undying Sapphire, to give me plus 225 to my incap range. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. All right, so it's fully crafted. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get our maul. As we can see, it's all on here. So one other thing to cover here is we want to make sure if you want to unslot an augment from the Isle of Dread. So obviously for the orange and the purple augments, and let's just bring this window back up, but not this one. Bring this one up. So for the orange and purple augments, obviously you need to use a jeweler's toolkit to take those out, or you can override them and destroy them. With some of these more valuable ones, you probably don't want to do that, so you can use a jeweler's toolkit to remove them, or you can just put another augment on there to just destroy them. Sort of similar with the Isle of Dread augments. So if you want, and what you'll probably do for the most part is you will just craft another augment, because really the ingredient costs aren't very high. So if you want to replace something, I would probably just recraft it. So you can recraft it and just drag it on there and destroy the current one, or you can use what's called a bone picker, which is a very rare drop. I've only seen it once, and it only, as far as I know, only appears on the saga in reward list, and I've only seen it once out of maybe 15 sagas I've run of this, so it's a pretty low chance for it to appear. I believe you can also buy those in the DDO store as well, but I honestly would just destroy them because the ingredient costs are pretty low. But all right, let's see. Okay, so now that we've got our maul fully crafted here, next we're going to move our sentient gem. So this is my old maul, so the tremor. This is the maul from Old Baba's Hut raid. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all of these filigree and then remove the sentient gem. So thing about removing sentient gems, you have to take all the filigree out first. So we'll go ahead and do that first. So then you've got up here, you've got your filigree sentient gem window here. So here's the sentient jewel. We got to take these filigree out first. So when you remove filigree, you can either destroy them with this sentient destroyer, which is just basically free. I mean, they sell them at vendors, general vendors. It's nothing that costs anything. Or you can use sentience toolkits, which are a rare drop in the just those specific chests, as far as I know, but in just any chest is a very, very rare drop, so there's no way to farm for them directly, but they do drop a lot better than, say, the jeweler's toolkits, which I think drop far too rarely and should drop more, or should have an option, some way to directly grind for them on, say, a saga reward or something. But anyways, we are going to destroy one of these augments because I have a duplicate, and then we're going to use sentient toolkits on all the rest of them because they're a little too. These are a lot of these are rare augments, especially prowess ones are pretty valuable, so I don't want to destroy those. So we're going to destroy it. Also, we're going to go ahead and remove these rare next fall ones because even though I'm going to try a different set of filigree for these 3 slots, but I think I might use them on another character, and they're rare, so I don't want to destroy them. And I've got plenty of sentience toolkits anyways. All right, so the one we're going to destroy is we're going to destroy this prowess melee power because I have a backup of that. So what we're going to do, all you got to do to destroy a filigree, just going to drag the sentience destroyer on top of it. Let me double check to make sure I got the right one. I do. Okay. So you just drag it on it, and there you go. It's destroyed. There we go. So now let's put these destroyers away because I don't want to accidentally destroy one of these rare ones. So for the rest of these, let me just double check. Yeah, the rest of these are rares, and I don't want to destroy them. So except for this one. This one's not a rare, but I don't have a second copy of it. So I'm unfortunately going to have to waste I'm just going to waste the sentience toolkit on it, which is unfortunate, but I didn't see any on the auction house, and I don't have another copy, so I'm just going to save this one. But any case, let's go ahead and do that. So to unslot them, you just get the Sentience toolkit, you drag it over. So let's go ahead and do that. Go. There we go. All right, so it for this. Let's go ahead and drag these over here. We'll put them in our mall, our new mall, very shortly. Okay, so now that you've removed all the filigree, you can remove the sentient gem. Let's go ahead and do that now. Definitely do not want to accidentally, it would be a tragedy if I destroyed this jewel, because it has tons of sentience XP in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this sentient toolkit, we're going to drag it over to the jewel now to remove it. So let's do that. Okay, so there we go. Here's our jewel of whelm, our sentient jewel of whelm here with our sentience XP in it. Okay. All right, so that's it for our mall. So our tremor now is all the way back down to base, except for the 2 of the augments, which I'm not going to remove those now. I'm going to put different, I already put my other augments in there. I'm going to keep those in here because I might use this for ETRs at level 28. Okay. So, actually, I definitely will. All right, so now we've got to get our new mall that we just crafted, and we've got to put our jewel and the filigree in it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we will close this window. We're going to reopen, not that one. We're going to reopen, we're going to reopen, yeah, this is the right window. So we're going to reopen the sentient gem window. So next we're going to reslot this sentient gem that we just pulled out of the Baba's Hut Mall. So let's go ahead and do that. You just drag it over. There we go. And as you can see here, this transfers not only our XP, but also our sparks. So memory, dream, and logic. I actually looked today to see if feeding a sentient gem to another sentient gem transfers these sparks. I don't think it does, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So to be safe, instead of feeding sentient jewel to another one, I've just decided to unslot today because I wasn't sure the answer to that question. And I've heard mixed things, and I don't want to experiment and possibly lose this. So it just keep in mind that if you are reslotting, it does still keep the memory, the dream, and the logic sparks, as well as all the same XP you had. Okay, so now we're just going to reslot this stuff. So we want to reslot, let's see. So first we're going to reslot the prowess. We're going to get rid of our next fall here because we're not going to use that. We're going to use this. I'm going to try playing around with this shattered device, which gives me double strike, attack and damage, and also at 4 pieces, which I should have pretty soon. It's going to give me some MRR and PRR reduction on hits. So that should be pretty nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and reslot our prowess. Prowess, by the way, if you aren't aware of this, I mean, this is one of the best, one of the most popular melee filigrees because when you have 5 pieces equipped, anytime you use an action boost, you get plus 50 melee power for 10 seconds, which is a ton. Not to mention the other good traits like additional action boost and melee power and PRR on 2, 3, and 4 pieces equipped. So let's go ahead and put our filigree back in. So to put our filigree back in, you just slide it over to the slots. Pretty easy. There we go. All right, and finally, our remaining filigree going to go in now. Okay, let's put the other 2 in here. All right, and that's it. We've got our new mall, a new attuned mall with all of our 6 augments, 4 from Isle of Dread, 1 orange, 1 purple, and all of our filigree in it. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you learned something from this tutorial. Hope it was helpful, especially for you new players who may have not done this before. It can be even a little bit nerve-wracking because you don't want to mess things up and have to buy more toolkits or accidentally do something tragic like destroy your sentient jewel that you've been putting sentient XP into for a year. That can be a tragedy. So you got to really pay attention. I would urge you, before you craft anything like this, make sure you plan it out, right? Put it on Excel or Word or on a piece of paper, something, so that you don't mess up. Make sure you're sober when you're crafting this. Make sure you've had enough sleep. Crafting is one thing in DDO that you really don't want to mess up because there are big consequences for messing up crafting. I mean, there can be gigantic consequences, especially when you're crafting stuff that requires tons of ingredients, or things like sentient jewels where you can accidentally wipe out years of progress of XP being fed into a jewel potentially. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see y'all next time. Have a good one. Take care.